Welcome to PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds Do's and Don'ts Episode 2. You guys enjoyed the first video so much and asked for more and left a lot of comments that made me realize, yeah, there's a lot of things people don't know and that they really should know and want to know furthermore. So this has led me to create two videos. The first one is the second video in the series of Do's and Don'ts, but this first new second video is going to be safety tips, do's and don'ts inside Battlegrounds. Things to keep you safe, things to keep in mind, things to make living throughout the game more viable and getting kills. The second video, which will come later on in the week, hopefully before the game launches, don't hold me to it, is going to be Battleground mechanics, the mechanics of the game. Things like how to range find, how PreMedding works, wall damage and wall movement, and when you should and shouldn't move. But without further ado, let's go into the Do's and Don'ts Episode 2, Safety Tips. Things that will help you survive in the circle, get geared, and get to the center. The first thing among the list of Do's and Don'ts is dropping from the plane. Now, one of the first mechanics, two mechanics I actually want to talk about, is the W tap and the dive bomb. So what is the W tap? Well, if you notice, whenever you pull your parachute, and you're holding W forward, you're going to angle down, so you're going towards the ground and forward at the same time, and this increases your speed. If you let off the W key, you're going to incline upright so that you're traveling faster forward than you are down, which is going to increase the total distance that you can go. This mechanic recently came to me through a couple of friends where you can tap W over and over repetitively to increase the total distance you can fly by a pretty significant margin. I mean, it's actually kind of insane. If you pull your parachute at the very start of the jump, you can nearly travel the entire distance of the island. You can certainly do more than half of the distance of the island. So you can gain some pretty significant ground and fly off as far as you want to away. This means you can get an extremely safe drop. Go drop into one of the corners of the map that nobody's going to visit. Gear yourself up, get a car, and head to the center, fully prepared for anybody that comes at you. This gives you a lot more options in the viability of where you're going to drop from now on, and makes it a lot easier to get a safe drop, one that you don't have any competition. But let's say you don't like being a safe player. You like being an aggressive player. You got something for that too, the dive bomb. So you can angle your mouse down so that you're diving straight down from where you drop out of the plane. Now, there's two ways to do this, and there is an importance to the dive bomb. Most of you know that you go faster the more you're aimed at the ground. Your max speed is 234 kilometers an hour. You can see that in the bottom left-hand corner. If you hit 234 kilometers an hour, whenever you pull your parachute, you will continue to decelerate towards the ground at an increased rate and skip over half of the parachute bar. Now, the parachute bar just shows the altitude at which you will naturally pull your parachute. The game forces you to pull your parachute there regardless. Your speed decreases at that parachute. Once you hit that parachute bar, your speed decreases to parachute speeds, and that's what you have to go through the rest of the parachute bar at. Parachute speeds. If you angle down and hit that 234 kilometers an hour, you will skip over half of that parachute bar because you're still accelerating at the ground until the parachute is pulled. Meaning, you're going to land on the ground faster than everybody else. Or faster than most people. Now, if you take the bar on the left-hand side, which is your altitude, and you take away the solid white part, which is the parachute bar, and you look at the transparent white bar part, the upper part, which is where you can skydive through, you only need about half of that to actually reach 234 kilometers an hour. So you can use half of it to gain some distance and position yourself to where you want to go, get right over top of it, and then dive bomb it to get there faster than anybody else. And if you're getting there faster than anybody else and you're expecting more players to land, there's a few things you need to do, and you need to prioritize when picking up gear. First off, the first thing you should always prioritize when you hit the ground is a weapon. That means a pistol, a shotgun, except the pump action, it's terrible, a double action, anything, even melee weapons if there are no other weapons available, because a melee weapon can give you a better chance than your fist and do more damage. If you see somebody picking up a weapon and all you have is a melee weapon, your best chance might be to run over to them and start beating on them, because they have to pick up the weapon, they have to pick up the ammo, and then they have to load it. If you can get 4 or 5 swings in before they do all that, you've got them down. You can kill them, then take the weapon for yourself. So, first thing you always prioritize when picking up stuff off the ground is a weapon. Skip over helmets, skip over armor, skip over backpacks, skip over any meds, anything. Get a weapon first, because you can't fight if you don't have a weapon. Alright, let's say you get a weapon. You're good now, you're ready to go. What do you pick up next? A helmet. Helmets keep you from being immediately one-tapped by the lighter weapons, things like AKMs, AWMs, or cars. You're still going to get one-tapped by that stuff, but the likelihood of somebody landing and immediately picking one of those up is not really that high. Shotguns can still one-tap you if they hit you to the body, so you're a little weak there, but the helmet keeps you from being one-tapped by things like UMP, Uzis, pistols, and I think even most 5.56 weapons, but don't take my word on that, I'm going to double-check it later with an experiment. So the helmet is the second thing you pick up. It gives you more immediate protection from being one-shot. The third thing you pick up is armor, because the armor will keep you from being one-tapped by the shotguns and some other more or lesser body shot weapons. Mostly shotguns is what the armor is for defense-wise. Shotguns can still one-tap people with 2 armor if it's close enough, especially the double-barreled shotgun, which is a quick 1-2. That's basically a one-shot, but the body armor is going to help you with better defense overall. And the final thing that you need to pick up is your backpack. After you picked up your backpack, you can start worrying about meds and additional ammo, but if you get a weapon, helmet, and armor, you can carry enough ammo and some bandages, maybe a painkiller, energy drink, first aid kit. You can carry enough supplies to allow you to live and fight until you're able to kill somebody and then get a backpack. The backpack's the last thing you pick up because you can carry enough to be able to survive through a couple of fights if necessary. So yeah, that's why the backpack is the last thing you get. It's not 100% necessary. Once you've landed on the ground, you're alive, you're secure, you've killed everybody in the area, grab your backpacks. Safety tip number 2, clearing complexes. Whenever you come up to a complex of any kind, even if you're fully geared or you're trying to get gear, the first thing you do is clear the complex. And when I say clear the complex, I mean all the buildings. All the buildings. Unless you're in something insanely massive like 6 apartment buildings, it's going to take you 10 minutes to clear all 6 apartment buildings. Clear 1 apartment building, saddle up, get yourself prepared. But if it's a small little subsection of buildings, like Gatka for instance, clear every single building that's in Gatka before you start looting. Close doors behind you. Somebody driving by can see an open door and not see any other open doors and will assume, like I have many times, there's somebody over there. Now, a good portion of players are going to continue driving. The other half of the players that are kill hungry and want to eliminate as many people before getting to the circle are going to rush you. Pull up in their vehicle, you're going to least expect it, they're going to whip a shotgun out and run up in your face and end you instantly. Especially if you're looking around trying to find gear, you're going to pick up this backpack on the ground and by the time you look to the door, their shotgun's already in your face. So, close doors behind you. Don't give signals away to players that you're there. My second aside to this is that if you have a car, park your car in a position that makes it look like it naturally spawns. High-end players, people that spend a lot of time in the game, are going to memorize car spawns, and they're going to know whether that's an actual car spawn or not. But that's going to be 25, maybe 20% of the population that memorize car spawns. I know I'm not yet. I eventually will, but I'm still not. And it's a big map. It's really easy to forget a car spawn or two. So if you park it in a way that it looks like a natural spawn in a pretty vertical fashion to the road or horizontal fashion to the road, people might assume that car just spawned there and keep driving. And the last thing I'll mention in regards to being safe in a complex and keeping people unsuspecting of the fact that you're there, if you're fully geared and you don't really need anything on the floor, even if there's an extra 30 rounds of 5.56 and you could use it, it'd give you 140 as opposed to 110, leave it on the ground. Because if a player walks in and they see 5.56, some 7.62, some shotgun shells, some painkillers, Red Bull, medkits, bandages, helmets, laying on the ground, unlooted, unmoved, in a pile, they're going to assume they're safe. They're going to assume, well, if somebody had passed by, they would have looted this for sure. They would have taken the better option and kept going. So I'm probably okay, and they're going to lessen their immediate response. They're not going to be on their toes as much as you are, and you're going to hear them moving around. So if you're nice and geared, you have enough, you're perfectly good, you got some meds, some ammo, leave it on the ground. Players are going to be that much more unsuspecting when you open the door and shoot them in the face. And the last safety tip that we have to give today, which we're also actually going to cover in the mechanics video to a bigger degree when it comes to wall damage, moving walls, and how to combat that yourself, is pre-medding. Now, what is pre-medding? Energy drinks and painkillers give you a heal over time, a HOT. That heal over time works when you're outside the wall and can in fact be used to combat the damage that the wall gives you. Early on walls versus an energy drink, you're actually not going to take a lot of damage. Early walls versus painkillers, you can out-heal it slightly. But the third, the fourth, the fifth wall, then you're going to start taking damage regardless of whether or not you have energy drinks and painkillers popped. Now, from what I believe, energy drinks and painkillers effects can stack on top of each other. I may be incorrect in that, so do not take me 100% for my word. I've not actually measured it over a period of time, but my general consensus of what it feels like is that they do stack because I tend to heal faster. Maybe a placebo effect. However, I'm fairly confident that multiple energy drinks or multiple painkillers do not stack on top of each other. Meaning if you take 3 painkillers, you're going to heal at the same rate versus 1 painkiller. You just get a bigger bar down at the bottom above your health bar, the colored bar. And I'll explain what that means to the best of my knowledge in the mechanics video because I'm still unclear on some things about it. Now, pre-medding as a safety tip. When do I recommend pre-medding? Well, if you have the meds, pre-med before a fight. Why? Because let's say you get into a firefight and you kill one guy and you attract the attention of 2 more guys. You're going to be healing after you kill the guy, before you're killing the guy, while you're taking all of his gear, while you're hiding and preparing for the other 2, so you don't have to worry about constantly trying to bandage or use a first aid kit as much. When you look at your health and you discover, oh, well, I've pretty much got all my health here, the only thing left is that healing I can get from the energy drink or the painkiller. I don't have to use a med kit, I don't have to use first aid. And that means you're going into the next fight with more health. That's one of the situations I recommend pre-medding in. The other situation I recommend pre-medding in, before the final 3 or 4 walls. Really only the last 3 walls is the situation I recommend pre-medding in. The last, I'd say last 3 or 4. Those last 3 or 4 walls do a ton of damage. And I don't recommend taking hits from them at all, which is something we'll explain in the mechanics video. But pre-medding can help lessen the effects of the damage those walls are going to deliver to you. Which means you are going to have more health when you come across a player in that final circle and you have to fight. And you will come across a player in those final circles and you will have to fight. In 99% of the situations, you're going to have to fight somebody. So I always recommend pre-medding when you have the chance so that you constantly have some form of healing going on throughout the system. Guys, that's going to do it for this episode of Do's and Don'ts in PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds safety tips. If you guys can think of any other safety tips, things that you do, best practices that you do inside Battlegrounds that help keep you safe and help keep you consistent, please feel free to leave them in the comments below. If there's enough comments or enough suggestions, we'll do a safety tips too. The next video is going to be the Do's and Don'ts mechanics inside Battlegrounds, and that video is going to explain, to the best of my knowledge, because a lot of the stuff is still unknown, the mechanics of PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. Things like range finding. How do you range find in PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds? I'm going to teach you that, and how to snipe properly. So stick around for that. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to hit that like button. If you want to support the channel, subscribe and turn on notifications. That always helps. You can come watch me broadcast all the action live over at twitch.tv/GunzGames. That's GUNZGAMES. We have a Green Man Gaming link down below. That will save you a minimum of 5% off your next game at greenmangaming.com, or 20% if you're a new member to Green Man Gaming. You can also follow me on Twitter if you want to hear me rant, and if you'd like to support the channel directly, you can go over to patreon.com/3gunsdown. All those links are in the description for you guys. Thank you for watching the video. I'm Guns. Good luck out there. I'll see you later.